Chapter 17, Outlaw Hunters in downtown Chokecherry. Storefronts with metal shutters and security cameras lined a narrow one-way street in downtown Chokecherry. Casey parked his bike in a motorcycle-only section in front of his destination. Sidewalks covered with panhandlers, food cart vendors, and pedestrians lined up for lunch, talking into their cell phones. The street smelled of grilled hot dogs and kebabs mixed with car exhaust. A bus pulled to the curb with a whoosh of air brakes. Outlaw Hunters was wedged between a massage parlor and pawn shop. It was the only business on the street he could see that wasn't missing any letters on the sign above its entrance. Outlaw Hunters of Chokecherry. Posters on the exterior wall of the business front promoted available positions with help wanted and apply online or inside in jumbo letters. Casey entered to the sound of 80s classic rock piping through speakers in the ceiling. There was a small lobby area with dim lighting and a few metal folding chairs. Red lights from security cameras in the corners of the room projected an eerie glow. In front of him was a brick wall with a small plexiglass arch window resembling a box office window. The wall looked like it could have been the original exterior wall of a theater, and Casey wondered if they'd just added the new entrance and lobby after the fact. There was a black privacy screen on the back of the window, and the enclosed dark space made Casey feel like he was in a closet. A sign next to the window read, "Buzz when busy." Casey pushed a small metal button and heard a vibrating noise fill the back of the building, followed by heavy footsteps. The privacy screen ripped away and light poured into the lobby for an instant before a hefty body covered the space. A microphone squawked. "What can I do for you?" Casey pulled out the help wanted poster from his pocket. "Here to inquire about a potential job." "Driver's license, please." The man sat down and pushed a lever. A metal drawer popped out from under the window. The man looked familiar, but in the low lighting, Casey couldn't recognize him. Casey pulled out his license and dropped it in the drawer, and the man ripped it back. "What do you need my license for?" "Out of precaution. You'll get it back when we finish." The man engulfed the license with his massive hands and struggled to scan the back of it with a small handheld scanner. He got it to work after 3 tries and his eyes darted to a computer screen. He hummed as he flicked the wheel of a mouse. After a few moments, the man nodded his head and turned to pull something out of a cabinet. A fluorescent light lit up his face, and that's when Casey remembered who he was. "You're that bouncer from P's and Q's, Herc, right?" The man turned back with the clipboard in his hand. He squinted at Casey. "That's me. Oh, you're the kid who was gawking at the VIPers' cars." "You have to admit that Resvani tank is insane." Herc shrugged. "Wouldn't know, don't care. I've got 4 kids under the age of 9. When I'm not working 2 jobs, I spend my free time shuttling them around in a Chrysler Pacifica hybrid minivan. The only time I have to myself is when I take a dump after the kids are in bed and my wife is watching Real Housewives of wherever." Herc launched the clipboard through the drawer. "Have a seat and fill this out. We'll call you soon." "Okay." Casey grabbed the clipboard and moved to one of the metal chairs. As soon as his butt hit the cold chair, a thick metal door scraped open. "Casey Clay?" A man who looked like a politician flashed him a mouthful of pearly whites. "That's me," Casey shot up. "Come on back." The man was tall and clean cut, wearing a blue blazer with a striped tie. Graying hair slicked back to the side like Mitt Romney. "I'm Chell Tivo, owner of the place." Casey shook his hand and followed him. Chell patted Herc on the back as he passed the reception area. "I see you met our customer service rep and site security officer, Hercules. Don't let his tough exterior fool you. He's as soft as a teddy bear inside." "Why don't I come and sit on your head for a few moments and see if you still think I'm a teddy bear?" Such a jokester, that guy. Chell ushered Casey down a long hallway past a series of numbered doors with no windows. "We've got a good crew here, a real team, I tell ya." "Why did Truckee and Honda think this was a good option for me?" Casey took a deep breath. "Well, you're here, so just keep an open mind." "What's with all the doors and no windows?" Chell stopped in front of a door with the number 5 on it. There was a long sliding lock on the exterior of the door. "Doors 1 and 2 are for private meetings. We use 3 through 6 as temporary holding cells for skips awaiting transport or the ones we want to interview." Chell pounded on the door. "Hey, Sugar Plum Fairy, you ready to tell us where your boss is hiding, huh?" A muffled voice called out from inside. "When I get out of here, the Plum Street Mafia is gonna skin you and your family alive." "These guys think they're some organized mafia." Chell continued down the hallway. "He's a low-level gangbanger who skipped bail last week. Picked him up this morning. Told him I'd let him go if he gave up a bigger fish, but he's been loyal. I'll bring him over to the courthouse after we're done." Casey studied Chell. Not only did he look like a state senator, but he was built like one too. Average height and weight, no bulging muscles, no visible scars or tattoos. "Mr. Tivo?" Chell led him to the last door, adorned with his name and his title as owner-operator. "None of that Mr. business, just Chell." "Right, so Chell, don't take this the wrong way, but you don't really look like the bounty hunter type." I mean, Chell laughed. I hear that a lot. Have a seat. Casey sat in a leather chair across from a grand wooden desk. The wall behind Chell's desk held bookshelves packed with hardcover books and trinkets. Various framed degrees, certificates, and family photos hung on another. The other wall had 3 large metal lockers. One locker was open with a Kevlar vest hanging from a hook. So what's your story? Casey asked. How did you become a bounty hunter? A fugitive recovery agent. That's what we like to call ourselves. As for my story, well, I'm from Salt Lake City and I'm LDS. I don't know what that means. Is that like a disease or something? Shell laughed and slapped the table. Some might call it that. No, Latter-day Saints. I'm a Mormon. Oops, I'm so sorry. Don't be. Had a good upbringing in Utah. No complaints. We spent a lot of time at church with other Mormon families. By the time I hit 35, I was a certified accountant married to an LDS woman I met through the church. We produced 4 beautiful kids in less than 5 years. We lived in a cozy house in the suburbs, and from the outside looking in, we were living the American dream. Chell leaned across the table. But I promise you, I was ready to blow my brains out. What? Really? As a Mormon, we can't smoke, drink coffee or alcohol, gamble or curse. Guess I got my midlife crisis early because I told my wife either we needed to leave the church or move away to pursue a new career in life. She chose the latter, pun intended, and we stayed with the church but moved to Chokecherry. I started Outlaw Hunters and she chose a more dangerous career. An oil rig manager? Close. She opened an at-home daycare with a dozen snot-producing hellions that get dropped off at 7 o'clock sharp. We can accommodate it though. We have a sweet place on the shoreline of Lake Sakakawea just past the Riverdale Estates. I still don't have any vices that my wife knows about, but I get paid a ton to arrest bad guys. Life's good, but I need more industrious men and women to join me here and help make Chokecherry a better place for my kids to live in. People like you, Casey. Did you submit your resume online? Not yet, but do you have an iPhone? I do. Chell set his phone on the table. I'll airdrop it to you. Got it. Why don't you tell me your story first? Casey readjusted his chair. Grew up the son of a rising national park ranger who last year became the head of the entire park service. We bounced all over the country every few years. My father was in the law enforcement track, and I followed in his footsteps by completing the park ranger law enforcement program at Temple University earlier this month. I've had a temporary assignment out at the Knife River Indian villages, but I've had a few people that Casey paused. I guess I would call them friends and mentors who urged me to come to talk to you to see what a career with Outlaw Hunters is all about. They think I'd be perfect as a fugitive recovery agent. Chell looked at his phone. From your resume here and your story, I agree with your friends. Your size can be a great asset, and I see you studied open source tracing at Temple. That's a core part of the work, searching on social media and other sites for information on skips. I have to tell you though, there can be long days and weekend work, especially when you're narrowing in on a skip. And of course, sometimes it gets quite physical. Tackling folks, getting into skirmishes, putting yourself in harm's way. Is that something that scares you? Casey shook his head. Compared to hanging t-shirts at Park Service visitor centers, that sounds more like my speed. I've looked at the traditional law enforcement route, like becoming a police officer, but I'm not a huge fan of the bureaucratic structure. Plus, I don't enjoy wearing a uniform and I don't want to shave my beard. I don't blame you there. Chell rubbed his naked chin. If I could grow a thick coat of fur like you, I'd sport one too. A phone on his desk rang and Chell held up a finger. What's up, Herc? Chell nodded his head. Yes, print and distribute to the normal locations. Print one back here so I can show Casey too. Thanks. Chell hung up the phone. I have to admit, Casey said, the work sounds fun and I'm intrigued by the salary and bonuses. You should be. A printer next to Chell's desk fired up. Base K is $75K, but for someone with your degree, I can offer you $80K. The bonuses can range anywhere from $1,000 on the low end to up to $100K for the biggest fish. Did I mention Chokecherry has the highest number of fugitives per capita than anywhere else in the country? That means job security, my friend. Here, let me show you something. Chell handed the fresh printout to him. That's our top 10 list of fugitives. We update it monthly and we'll post this one for June. You can see the types of characters and get a good sense of the bonuses based on what we offer a Judas for giving us information that leads to their arrest. Usually pay our FRAs 10 times the Judas rate. That's a lot more than I make now. How many hours a week on average and what's the day-to-day work like? All good questions. The hours can be a grind, sometimes 80 to 100 hours a week. You'll do open source tracing from your home, but we'll spend the bulk of your time driving around sketchy neighborhoods. You'll talk to stupid people, drink cold coffee, pee in cups. The glory of it comes from the adrenal. Chell tapped the inner part of his forearm with 2 fingers, like a nurse trying to find a vein for an IV. $Adrenal? What's that? The real reward is the adrenaline rush that comes from making an arrest. For every buck we make arresting someone, we make 1,000 adrenaline dollars. It's what gets me up in the morning, why I'm happy we left Utah. The bigger the fish, the more adrenaline dollars. Chell peered down at the top 10 list. Casey examined the paper too. There were 10 photos, most of them mugshots, with names and key details below each, like baseball cards for fugitives. The last line under each entry had a dollar amount paid out for information. What do you mean by Judas? Is that a biblical reference? Chell nodded. That's it. The Judas is the one person scorned by the accused who is now willing to reveal the skip's whereabouts. The Judas can be a drug dealer, ex-girlfriend, the person who put up the bail collateral, or anyone who now feels betrayed by the skip. We've had a skip's mother and father be the Judas in order to teach their kids a lesson. No kidding. Casey looked at the first person on the list. Onyx Bromaker, the leader of the Banshees of the Badlands Motorcycle Club. It lists $15,000 as the reward for information. So you're saying the fugitive recovery agent would make $150K? You're catching on quick. Bromaker's been on there forever though. He's well protected by his biker gang, and local and federal law enforcement doesn't want to touch him because it's too dangerous. Authorities have reached out to me a few times asking if I've made any progress, but I've got nothing so far. The only way to get to a guy like that is for someone to go undercover and try to arrest and hide him before the rest of the gang finds out. Wow. Casey scanned the rest of the page and was about to hand it back when his eyes locked on the person in the 10th spot. Oh my God. What is it? The last guy. It's him. Chell cleared his throat. You know someone on this list? Yes. I mean, I don't know him, but I ran into him at P's and Q's on Monday night and again yesterday afternoon. He's running an oil drill on the land just north of the park along Knife River. It lists his name as Lance or Bass, but he goes by Gunner. Casey closed his eyes and thought about the video of Manito's mother being shot dead by Gunner, and they're running at the edge of the park. If you don't mind, why don't you let me have a look? Casey took a picture of Gunner's mugshot on his phone and handed back the paper. You can keep this copy. Let me just look at it quick. Chell scanned the paper. Oh yes, Gunner. Buddy of mine out of Texas called me about him yesterday. Sounds like Gunner beat some guy to death at a bar outside of San Antonio. Skipped town and someone told my buddy this Gunner guy was hanging out in North Dakota. Guess they were right. $2,000 for information on him means $20,000 for you if you beg him. We normally wouldn't have new recruits go after top tenors right out of the gates, but since you know where this guy hangs out, this could be a good way to get your feet wet. Look, I'm not sure if I want to be in the fugitive recovery business, but I know I want to take this bastard down. What authority do I need to bring him in? Chell smiled. As long as you're working for a licensed bail bond agent like myself, all you need is the bail piece for the skip, and you have full arrest authority. Casey scrunched his face. I'd have to be a full-time employee? Do you have to deputize me? Well, Chell leaned back in his chair and it squeaked. I could allow you to work on a temporary project for Gunner to see if it's a good fit for you. No deputizing required. This isn't that type of law enforcement. Pretty sweet deal, Casey thought. Authority to take down Gunner in a trial phase for this career? I'm intrigued, but why would Gunner be out at a pub in Chokecherry if he's a wanted man? Chell shrugged. I've seen skips hide in plain sight before. Perhaps he's connected and feels like he has protection in places he visits. Maybe he's so confident in his own skills he doesn't care. Either way, it's better for us when he's more accessible. He may be accessible, but it looks like he carries at least one firearm on him at all times. Well, that's an important thing to be aware of. My buddy said Gunner was ex-Delta Force. Depending on whether you're Army or Navy, people debate who is better between the two units. Regardless, they are experts in the art of killing, so you have to approach it with caution and creativity. Do some surveillance and be smart about it, but we can't wait too long. Guys like this drift in and out. We don't want to miss our shot at him. If you get to Gunner, it's $20K in your pocket. $20K plus a chance to take down the bastard who shot Manitou and killed his mother. Casey thought about all the part-time jobs he worked in high school and college to save up to buy Mini Winnie and General P. It was $18K worth of savings from endless hours of part-time work at the parks, including waiting tables, digging ditches, sandbagging rivers, and cleaning cabins. One quick arrest and I make the same amount of money, except it comes with the risk of life or limb. I bet Truckee would want to help. I see your brain churning over there, Chell said. Also consider this. As an FRA, you don't need Miranda rights and you can break into and enter homes without a search warrant. Are there any other requirements for being an FRA? Not really. All the state requires is you need to be 18 years of age and have no prior criminal convictions. I assume you're good there. My record's clean. Good, and you can't be employed in an official law enforcement capacity or have powers of arrest. Do you have that with the Park Service? Casey shook his head. I hoped I would, but not in this temporary role here at Knife River. Chell clapped his hands together. Blessing in disguise. We normally send recruits through a 2 or sometimes 4-year criminal justice program at one of the local schools while they learn the ropes. But since you already have that background, you're primed and ready to roll. We also pair new recruits up with a mentor, and I'll assume that role for you if that's okay. I mean, yeah, I guess if I do it long term, that'd be great. Chell shuffled some papers on his desk. In the future, if you consider bail bond agent licensing like me, you have to jump through a few more hoops with North Dakota's insurance department, but nothing you need to worry about now. We have a bunch of tools and tricks we use, which I'll introduce to you along the way. But for right now, I'll have Herc hand you the bail piece for Gunner on the way out, and then you can put your thinking cap on. What's a bail piece? It's paperwork showing a person is a fugitive. In some states, it's a certified copy of the bond. It gives you the right as an FRA to arrest a fugitive. Just need to find where they hang out and a way to get to them. I doubt a smash and grab type operation will work well with Gunner. No telling what he might have for protection at his home. You catch on quick. So how about we do this? Let's use this as a trial run. You figure out a way to get to Gunner. You call me up and we can take him down together. In the meantime, let me get you equipped. Yeah, but one second. Chell put his desk phone on speaker and dialed a number saved to favorites. Locked and loaded, a man with a raspy voice answered. AK Bob! Chell Tivo's sitting here with the new recruit. Chell winked at Casey. His name is Casey. Can you get him fitted with the usual? Anything for my main man Tivo. What size vest? AK Bob asked. At least an XL, maybe larger. Let him pick out his own non-lethals and put it on my tab. You haven't had anyone over XL since Herc came on board, but I should have a few around. I'll lay some weapons out for him too. What time's he coming down? We're almost done here. Give him 10 minutes. Right on. How's business? AK Bob asked. Booming as usual. You? Busy as ever over here. I swear every time a good guy buys a weapon, a bad guy buys 3. Let me know if you ever need backup. AK Bob cocked a weapon. As long as you're selling the good guys all the ammo, Chell said. I've got your phone number in my favorites above my mother's. I feel so special. AK Bob snickered. You're one of a kind. Chell laughed. Thanks again. I'll send him down. Chell ended the call. Wow, thanks, Chell. In the Park Service, it would take 13 approvals and weeks to get equipment like that cleared. You just did it in a 60-second phone call? We're super nimble here. Part of the appeal, if you ask me. Chell stood up from his chair. Grab the gear for this Gunner operation. If nothing comes of it, you can keep it as a souvenir. My gift to you for coming down today. If it goes well, we can get you a badge and throw you on the payroll. Did I mention the position comes with full benefits? Casey stood up, gazing at the Kevlar vest in the locker. You said non-lethal on the phone. What does that mean? State doesn't allow us to carry firearms. The court freaks out when the skips come in with bullet holes. Plus, insurance is a nightmare. We can rough folks up a bit, but nothing lethal. There's nothing that prevents private citizens from joining us who may or may not have firearms, but I don't invite citizens like AK Bob to many gigs. He's as trigger happy as they come. Anyway, AK Bob has an entire shelf full of non-lethals, so pick out 1 or 2 good items for yourself. Grab some restraints too. Like I said, if you come up with a good capture plan for Gunner, call me and we'll get you that $20K. Chell reached out his hand. Casey shook it. The conversation was a whirlwind of efficiency compared to the Park Service. A quick interview and a phone call and he was equipped to go after a criminal with freedom to pursue it how he saw fit. His perception of bounty hunting flipped in a single meeting. It seemed the aspects of law enforcement that appealed to him, the essence of the hunt, pitting a good guy against the bad, was at the core of being a fugitive recovery agent. Maybe that's what Truckee and Hondo had seen in this opportunity that he hadn't realized until now. How do I get over to Locked and Loaded from here? Quick walk 3 blocks north and around the corner to the left. Can't miss it. Grab AK Bob a fully loaded hot dog from the cart vendor out front on the way and he'll be your best friend for life. Chell handed him a business card. Here's my personal email and phone number. Call me anytime, day or night. Let's go bag that fish and make some money. Thanks, Chell. Casey took the card. Might be calling you soon.